Hey everybody, I'm JD Houvener and welcome to the Bold Patents Show. I'm here with Matt Kulseth and we're here to talk about patents. There we go. Patents, trademarks, specifically today about medical devices and what it takes to bring that from idea to patent pending, patent granted, and then into the market. And all the things that come with that. And I was hoping we were going to get a guest this weekend. We did. I lucked out. We have Phil Guthrie with Compliance. He's going to be helping us with understanding what it means to get certified, how to get started if you're in this field. Maybe you're new to the game or you've been at it for a while. I think Phil's going to lend some knowledge there. So I want to bring him on right now. Phil, you've been waiting backstage. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well, thanks.
Excellent. Well, we're broadcasting to our YouTube folks, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And anyone out there that's watching live, we will take your questions. We're going to be covering medical devices, of course, and patents, trademarks, and things that go with it. Pop those questions into the bank. We'll take those as priority. I do have 3 or 4 that came in over the week. Maybe not necessarily on point to our subject matter, but I'm just going to jump right in. Phil, if you could give us a quick background on yourself, on Compliance-Insight. What do you do there at Compliance-Insight? What kind of clients do you help?
Great, thanks, JD. Yeah, so Compliance-Insight has been around since August of 2000, so coming up on our 22nd year anniversary actually this month. And we were started by a couple of industry veterans who saw a need for assistance from consultants to help companies that needed to be guided either down a regulatory path for FDA approvals or clearances, or needed assistance with the quality assurance side or compliance side of their business, whether it was helping to develop quality management systems or audits, assessments, et cetera, to help make sure that the products being generated were being done in a quality manner. I joined the company coming up on 3 years ago. Prior to that, I was in the legal technology space. I head up business development for the company, and it's a great company. I've had a ball.
Okay, well, cool. I bet maybe you can you tell us the name of it, or is it confidential, or what?
The name of our company is Compliance-Insight. Sorry.
Oh, that's it. I thought you were saying you were part of a legal tech company before.
Oh, no. Yeah. Before that, no, I worked for a number of legal technology companies. So software companies that provided technology to attorneys for e-discovery. So I was a subject matter expert in the e-discovery space. Yep.
Litigation. No. Sorry. No, okay. It's great.
I did.
I was transactional. Go ahead.
Phil, when I was a young attorney, I did a lot of docket review, which was just terrible work. But I'm sure I was using one of your systems at some point.
Probably. Small world.
Okay. All right. So, Phil. So let's do hypothetical. We didn't practice this. This is off the cuff. But let's say I have an inventor client and they have come up with a device. Actually, we were talking about this when you and I were speaking about it 2 weeks ago. I think the threshold question is, do they need any FDA certification or waiver? How do you go about answering that question for someone who has come up with something that's sort of, going to be worn on the body and it might be doing some healthcare or health related data? What things go in your mind to help them think through it?
Yeah, so I have a very firm answer of maybe, right? So it depends, right? So when prospective clients come to me with their product, generally the first step is going to be to conduct what we refer to as a regulatory assessment. That regulatory assessment will help us to classify the device, which is how the FDA determines the regulatory pathway products need to go down for clearances, approvals, et cetera. So that regulatory assessment will help determine, okay, what is
Oh, Matt, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Phil, we just lost audio and I think video as well. Hopefully we're going to get you back. There we go. Pick up where we kind of lost you right at the first step, at the regulatory assessment, Phil.
Yeah, sorry, lost connection with you. Yeah, so a regulatory assessment will generally help. There's a...
Oh, man. Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Hey, Phil. One thing you could do is try to turn your video off. I know it's not ideal, but if you turn your video off, we should be able to get your audio through clear. We all know you're a good looking man. So
how's that? Can you hear me still?
Loud and clear. Yep.
Good.
Yep. You're doing good.
Okay, perfect. Where'd I cut out? I apologize.
Let's start again with what that assessment is, with the regulatory assessment.
Perfect. So the regulatory assessment is a process wherein an expert, a medical device expert, reviews the product to determine how the FDA is going to classify that particular device. They'll then generate a report so you'll have essentially a document, right? That then if the FDA comes back later and questions, why did you think your device was class 1 or class 2? You can then tell them, well, we hired a consultant to come in and look at our product, and they determined, or their assessment was that we were a class 1 device, and therefore we really didn't need to go through the additional regulatory scrutiny required by the FDA for class 2 or class 3 device.
So the higher the number of class, the more rigor and challenge. Is that right?
Generally, that is correct. Now, there are some devices that potentially could be exempt from additional rigor. However, so for example, most class 2 devices, there are predicates generally on the market. And so that allows those devices to go through what the FDA refers to as a 510K pre-market clearance for the device, right? It's not an approval, but what they're saying is there's significant enough data in the marketplace and in history for us to say that this device is safe. And we're going to use the data over the last years that product's been on the market to indeed say that it's safe, so long as it doesn't deviate substantially from that predicate device.
Okay. And that would be a class 2. Do you have some quick examples? Like what would be a class 1? What's a class 2? What's a class 3?
Sure. So a class 1 would be could be things like the generic masks you see in the market today, right? Post COVID, the more generic masks, right? Could be class 1. Something like a tongue depressor, right? Is for sure class 1 device. Even things like over the counter products, right? Band-Aids initially were approved, right, by the FDA, but today you no longer have to go to the FDA to get a Band-Aid approved. It's generally regarded as safe. Now you do have to register with the FDA. So as long as you have a medical product on the market in the United States, you're required to register. You also have to pay them a fee annually. And you have to list the devices that you're carrying with the FDA. And they do that in case something does go wrong. Let's say something does go wrong with the Band-Aid. Okay, who produced the Band-Aid? How many of those Band-Aids are on the market? How do we get those off the market? Do we need to recall the product, et cetera?
Wow, interesting. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick. So, what qualifies something as medical? Is it really anything worn on the body, like a watch? Is that medical? If that's
generally the FDA looks at the intended use of the product, right?
Okay. So if it's alleging some sort of a benefit to the person or some health prevention or health prevention, disease but prevention. Hopefully we don't lose you again. Is it about the marketing? Is that kind of what's going on, the labeling? What's being sold, honestly? If they're selling this concept of a medical benefit, then that's when there is a need for a class 1.
I'm sorry, JD, you'll have to ask that again. I lost connection again.
No problem. Just basically, it's kind of, love to get help our inventors out and help me out, honestly. And so it's like, if it's marketing, if it's selling, hey, this is going to help you and your body in some way, does that qualify? Is that kind of right? Like a Q-tip? I don't know, weird example like that, or a brush for your hair to get the hair out of your eyes. I don't know how extreme do you go?
So the FDA generally looks at what is the intended use of the device. So, and they look at keywords that you use in the way you describe what the intended use of your device was. So is it intended to be used to relieve, to cure, to, reduce swelling? Again, all of these are words that the FDA is going to go, oh, clearly they're addressing a medical condition, and this falls within our oversight.
Okay, cool. All right, lay on us a class 2 example.
Yeah, so a class 2 device would be something like, again, we talked about masks, but let's say a more sophisticated mask, right? Let's say a mask that needs to be worn for like chemotherapy treatments, or some mask that's used in a surgical environment, or a device that's already on the market, but perhaps there are not substantial changes to it, but maybe just minor improvements to a device that's already on the market. So there's predicates already on the market. That means the device already exists, and all we're doing is mimicking that device effectively. Yeah. And so that allows us, again, to go down a more streamlined regulatory path with the FDA. And generally that pathway is, once you file, it's about 6 months to get that clearance. And again, it's not an approval from the FDA, right? They're saying this product's already been cleared. So it's a pre-market clearance that allows you to put your product on the market based on the performance of products like it in the past.
This is very interesting, though. Isn't there a problem fundamentally? The concept of getting a patentable technology means you're saying it's the first of its kind. How can you possibly rely on a predicate pre-existing device if this is truly the first of its kind?
Well, so you can't. So the beauty is the FDA has an additional regulatory path for products like that, and they call it the de novo classification, or a de novo classification request with the FDA.
De novo. Okay.
Again, so a de novo classification request, well, the definition it specifically says is a request to provide a marketing pathway to classify novel medical devices for which general controls alone or specific controls provide reasonable assurance of safety and effectiveness for the intended use, but for which there is no legally marketed predicate device. So again, it's a novel device with no predicates. The pathway you have to go down is a de novo path. And your costs and your time.
Does that mean more dinero? Okay, sorry.
It does. It means
okay.
Yeah. So de novo means novel, but it does mean more dinero, and it does mean more time. I don't know what time is in Spanish, so if you do, feel free to.
No, I don't. No, that's the limit right there of my Spanish. Okay, and I was let's talk class 3 quickly. Let's cover that to round us out.
Perfect. So class 3s generally go through a process referred to as a pre-market approval. So this is an actual approval from the FDA. So they're now putting skin in the game, right? Saying we've looked at the device, we've looked at all the safety studies and looked at what its intended use. And yes, it's effective in its intended use, and it is safe to use in its intended use. Again, the pre-market approval is going to be for your class 3, 0 predicates, potentially very, your most hazardous or most dangerous therapeutics for issues in the medical device space. So things like, the first pacemaker, right, had to go through a pre-market approval.
Now, when you say had to, I want to make sure I'm clear. So do you submit it? Maybe it got initially, they tried to go class 2 with the pacemaker. Does the FDA say, no, this has to go class 3? Or is it just you're assuming and you just simply apply to class
3? So yeah, potentially yes on both, right? So It could be either one. Yep.
So there is a gatekeeper, if you will, a decision examination, call it what you want, where the FDA says, well, here's what we're requiring of you.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And when you're seeking a pre-market approval, you're in discussions, right, with the FDA about your product, and so there's some guidance, also being provided there, right, for the regulatory pathway. But again, pre-market approval. So you think about the exponential jump in cost from 510K to de novo. Again, you're looking at an exponential jump. I talk about PMAs in terms, which is a pre-market approval acronym, in terms of years and millions.
Millions. Okay, so the cheapest PMA, maybe $1 million.
Yeah, and that would be outside of. So that would be your fee to the FDA and the consultants required to get your submission in is probably $1 million. So this doesn't include any of your other testing.
What's some frame of reference? What would be a range on the class 2? And the range on the class 1. I don't know. I'm just wanting to get some numbers. Are you still there? Oh, okay. Well, I'm hoping the answer is less than $1 million. I mean, I don't think it is. I think it's far less, but I think it's really cool to get those examples, Matt. Hopefully we get Phil back.
No, that's super cool. I mean, I'm learning a ton about this, right? And so I bump up against medical device manufacturers or doctors who are bringing new medical treatments, therapies, products to the marketplace. And one of the questions I consistently get on the trademark front is, do I have to be FDA approved before I even apply for the trademark? Or do you need to see my FDA certificate or licensure or something like that for the trademark application? And the answer is no, right? The USPTO does not care what you're doing at the FDA, right? They don't want to know. They don't need to know. And we're not going to tell them. So
don't ask, don't tell. Same on the patent side. No, we don't need any of that. You can be the inventor.
And from the FDA consulting side, we agree with that. You do not need FDA approval to seek, IP protection.
Cool. Phil, last question for you was just, I think you cut out. Give me some rough cost estimates, ranges on class 1 and class 2.
So for class 1, I mean, you're going to pay the FDA. Well, this year it's $5,672 to register and to list your device. You'll also, if you can't do that yourself, you'll hire a consultant. It'll take them, 8-10 hours to do that work for you. So you're looking at another, couple $1,000s there. For a 510K, I mean, the standard fee to the FDA is $12,745. It's probably safe to say you're going to spend another $50,000 with an FDA consultant to help you do your submission.
That was a 50.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, 50 to 100 grand. Total.
And then in addition, you can file for a small business exemption, which reduces that FDA filing fee down to $3,186. So substantial savings available for companies that have been in business for over a year and have less than, I think it's $30 million in revenue is the threshold for a small business exemption.
Very
the de novo request is the fee is $112,457 for this year. Small business fee is $28,114.
Yeah.
And then the PMA we talked about is $374,858 is the filing fee this year.
Wow.
The small business fee is $93,714. So that gives you some sort of, magnitude of costs between the different classifications of products.
Absolutely. We had a live question come in here from Daniel. Hi, do you draft and prosecute patent applications about computer-implemented inventions directed to medical devices, systems, and methods? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We help with the actual mechanical device, the electrical device, as well as the method and process for which it's applied or how the data is stored, analyzed with the computer. So absolutely. Any specific questions about that? I'll be providing our contact information here. In fact, that reminds me, and I'm Matt, sorry to cut you off. Here's a link for you potentially or anyone else that's listening. If you're ready, if you have something you've been thinking about and you want to see if now is the right time, if you have enough information to move forward down the patent path, click that link right there. You'll get a copy of this book behind me, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. And so Daniel, don't hesitate. Give us a call. It's a free scheduled screening session to see if we're a good fit. So hope to hear from you soon. Matt, did you have a comment?
Yeah, quick question, Phil. So when we're seeking FDA approval, or when you're seeking FDA approval, because I'm not going anywhere near that.
Never say never, Matt.
What is it called? At the end of the day, what are your clients hoping to get? Is it a license? Is it a registration? What is it called?
So it depends, right? So if it's a class 1, what our clients want is to be on the market, right? And so they want to be on the market for in the quickest, cheapest way possible. And that's all determined by what type of product they have, right? So again, when we look at it could be as simple as a registration and listing a device all the way up to the PMA that we talked about, right? And everything in between. So at the end of the day, it's evaluating the product, its classification, and its pathway. And then it's really up to the inventor, right, to determine, okay, now how do I get there? Am I going to go out and am I going to fundraise? Am I just going to sell the IP, right? Because I don't want to go through this process. Am I going to work with a contract manufacturing organization to help me in the development of my product, right? Because I don't own a factory to make medical devices. So just so many considerations, right, to make. And we have these conversations early in the process. We welcome having these conversations early in the process to help them understand kind of once you're ready to file with the FDA, here's the time and cost to get that final, whatever that barrier is, to be able to be on market in a legal way.
Thank you, Phil. Phil, is it okay if I give out your email address if anybody has any questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it's been my pleasure, and I apologize for the technical difficulties today. I hope you guys will invite me back sometime in the future. I'd love to talk more with you guys.
You bet. Why don't you stay on? We're going to do our Bold Bite segment and look at a medical device that was pitched to the Australian version of Shark Tank. Do you have enough time to stay with us?
Absolutely. Love to.
Okay, cool. And I did not get to pre-screen this, so I do not vouch for the whole thing, but we'll see how it goes.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. We're going to go take a bite. And we got to save some time to critique it here. Here we go.
First into the tank tonight, a physiotherapist hoping to rehabilitate her industry.
I've been developing Halo for 5 years now, so what I'd like to see is Halo grow, and that's what I'm hoping that we'll have support to do today. My name's Hayley Warren. I'm CEO and founder of Halo Medical Devices. I'm here today to ask for $200,000 for 21% equity in our company. Halo Medical Devices was formed when I was a physiotherapy student. I saw a need to make sure we're getting the best tools out there for our therapists. So traditionally in physiotherapy, when we look at how the joints are moving and if we need to do any therapy on them, we'll use the standard goniometer. So you can get an idea of what a goniometer is. I'd like to just show you what it does. So traditionally we'd hold it over, we try and make the landmarks up, we guess what's happening here. You have to do it with two hands, so you can't support the limb.
And you're trying to do that because one assumes there's been an injury to the arm and the movement has been restricted. Is that what we're looking at?
Exactly. Traditionally, you'd get them to do the range as well. He'd bend his elbow up. And then I would have a look what's happening here. So it's very difficult to read the three numbers as well.
And Hayley, is that the state-of-the-art product at the moment?
John, this is the best on the market.
You have got to be kidding.
I know. So every practice will have from the finger goniometers, the small ones, right through to these. I've invented a device that does all joints in under 5 seconds. With the Halo, the lasers will always go along any length of limb, can always intersect with landmarks. Therefore, it becomes a repeatable measure, and that's where we get our reliability off. So from here, we just zero it, just a click of the button, and then we drop it around, and I click through, and I get the range. That's its huge selling point, the accuracy, the speed of use.
Amazing. We're in their corner and on it.
All right. That's it, guys. So, first of all, would you consider that, Phil, to be a medical device?
Absolutely.
Okay. What were some of the big things that tipped you off there?
So it's being used in a rehabilitation environment, right, to measure the angle of improvement, I guess, in the flexibility post injury. So, and it's being used to make decisions on additional care, for sure.
Okay, and at that point where they're asking for money, we didn't get to listen to the whole thing, but would you assume they've already been through some sort of trials before they can go to market? What are some of the institutions or companies that might be stopping them, from going forward if they haven't done it?
You mean from a regulatory perspective?
Yeah, I guess let's just say worst case, maybe worse because we didn't listen, but say they didn't have anything started. No 510Ks, no filings. They didn't send anything. No one told them they should, right? It's just lasers. Nothing's going in the body. Maybe they never thought of it. What catches are there? When would they find out potentially? When someone tries to sue them? Or, what would be kind of the aha moment for them?
So if they had come to me, I would have recommended that they conduct a regulatory assessment or have a medical device expert, right, conduct a regulatory assessment like we talked about earlier, classify the device and give them the road, right, to regulatory clearance, whatever that is, whether it's class 1 listing, class 2, 510K, or class 3 PMA. And so but again, what's happening is at times I think products are making it to the market, of course, before, without going through any rigor. And when the FDA finds those products, they then go back to those manufacturers. And are you still there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're here. Yep. If you can.
Sorry, I lost you for a minute. So the FDA will begin to investigate these products, right, to determine, in fact, what is its intended use. And if they determine that it is a medical device, they will then send a warning letter, right, to the manufacturer saying your device is, it's a medical device regulated by the FDA, and it needs to go through FDA regulatory clearance, approval, or listing, depending upon the classification.
Okay. Just kind of taking that example and running. I'm just running. So, a competitor, right, is come up with a different design. They may see, hey, these guys didn't do any certification. I'm gonna rat on them. Is that how it works? Can I just send a letter? Hey, these guys aren't certified, and they're touting all these medical benefits. I mean, is that practically how the FDA would find out, or are there FDA police, for lack of a better word, that actually will monitor? How does it work?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are certainly FDA inspectors that are running internet searches, right? Looking for advertisements that say they cure, relieve, rehabilitate, alleviate, right? Again, all these keywords that we talked about earlier, right, that say that this is a medical product. And when they find those products, they'll do additional research to say, okay, is it in fact, are they promoting it in the way we think they are as a medical product? And then as soon as they make the determination that in fact they are, they send them a warning letter saying your product is a drug, or your product's a medical device, or your product is whatever they deem it is, and has to go through FDA regulatory approval in order to be in market. Otherwise, it has to be removed from the market. That's the tone of their letter.
So let's talk about penalties, though. Is there any penalty for not doing it in advance and being purely reactionary?
Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest potential is the liability associated with that, right? I mean, if something were to happen to someone associated with your device, I mean, and you haven't gone through the FDA rigor, but the FDA, as soon as they get wind that you have a medical product on market that should be regulated and is not, they're going to shut you down.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the bad, of the bad actor. How far can you go? So you're saying a lot of different things. I mean, as an investor, right, those sharks should have been asking, is this certified? Did you go through the process?
Or at least should have been asking, do you know how long it's going to take? Do you know what it's going to cost you?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
And then that inventor, I assume she's the inventor, needs to be ready with those answers. So our clients, if they're looking to raise money, they need to at least speak with, someone who knows what they're doing about certification, hint, hint, wink, wink, Compliance-Insight, to get started and help answer and categorize. And if they don't have all the answers, at least have a consultant. I got a company, they're on my side, and we're going to go through this together.
100%.
Be really helpful. Cool.
Yeah, just like they should have an attorney, right?
Yeah. There you go.
You do. You need the expertise to assist you. I mean, unless you're an FDA expert, you should hire an FDA expert to help you interact with the FDA. They're gonna make it the easiest for you as an inventor to get your product to market. So
cool. Matt, do you have anything on your mind you want to wrap up with, or any final thoughts?
Yeah, don't name your medical device Halo. There are so many applications out there for medical devices, class 10, for the word Halo, that you either get denied or you're not going to be able to enforce your trademark. I know this because I had a client who was a medical device client, who had a Halo product, and it's a mess out there. So, before you spend, tens of thousands of dollars on your branding, your website, and bring products to market, like, just call a trademark attorney. It'll save you a ton of money and time. So, yeah,
so cool.
Don't do that.
Thank you. Yes, I did put that in the comments. If you want to get a hold of Matt on trademarks, there's his email, matt@boldip.com. Any questions on patents, I will be happy to take those on, jd@boldip.com. And we are out. Phil, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And you battled through the video issues, and we got your full audio. Thank you for bearing with us there. Not sure what the issue was, but we'll have to have you back on when we have a client, or maybe an example that we're working through together. But I look forward to working with you and having you help our clients.
Yeah, thank you. And I have other experts that work with me that are even smarter than I am, or I should say are way smarter than I am. So I'd be happy to have them join you as well. And they could provide even more technical insight, I think.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt. Take care. You guys have a good rest of your day. Go big, go bold.